Good morning po sa lahat ng nagre-review for the upcoming Criminology Licensure Examination, sa lahat ng Criminology enthusiast, sa mga kadete natin sa Criminolohiya, sa Luzon, Visayas at Mindanao regions, magandang umaga po. In this second episode of Fingerprint Identification, ang main focus po natin sa discussion will be in one of the difficult areas in fingerprint identification, specifically fingerprint classification. Although this is considered as one of the difficult areas, we will try to simplify the discussion para mas lalong maintindihan, especially sa nagre-review right now, maintindihan nyo kung ano ang mechanics o ano ang concept and principles behind fingerprint identification. Also, in this episode, I will be emphasizing more on the various topics that came out in the previous criminology licensure examination. So ano po ba ang fingerprint classification? Para mas maintindihan natin ng maigi, let us take a look on the system sa library. Sa library, mayroon po tayong various books, many books that can be found in the library. So for us to easily find the location of the book that we are looking for, sa library may catalog po. Okay? Sa catalog nakalagay dyan ang author of the book, ang title ng book, at saka yung year of publication ng libro. So by using catalog, mas madali, mas easy, mas makasave ka sa time kasi the catalog will exactly pinpoint you the location of the book that you are looking. So same with fingerprint classification. Imagine you have, let us say, 100 fingerprint files taken from the 100 suspects. So if you will just put and deposit the 100 fingerprint files in one cabinet, what will happen is the next time around, when you look for a particular fingerprint file of a particular suspect, I tell you, it will be very time consuming kasi it will be very chaotic. That is why mayroon po tayong fingerprint classification. Para sa classification, ma-arrange yung fingerprint natin into divisions, subdivisions, groups, and subgroups. Ano ang purpose ng fingerprint classification? For filing. Okay? That's very clear. For filing purposes. Okay? So meaning, ang fingerprint classification should be done para at least yung arrangement natin sa fingerprint file is harmonized. Okay? And if our fingerprint filing is harmonized, we can have quick accessibility and easiness in finding or in locating the particular fingerprint file that we are looking. So that's the purpose of fingerprint classification. Now, sa lahat na nagre-review ngayon for the upcoming Criminology Licensure Examination, i-take note po natin na dalawa lang po yung systems of fingerprint, yung subsystems natin sa fingerprint. Una, yung Henry classification. Yung pangalawa, yung Harry-Batley system. But take note again, cadets, take note, we are not following on Harry-Batley system, but rather on the Henry classification system. Okay? Even the United States follows the Henry classification system. Now, ang Henry classification system includes 10 fingerprints in card taken upon lawful arrest. Now, take note, under the police operational procedure, once the person is arrested, okay, one of the steps that he has to undertake is on the fingerprinting. Now, the purpose of this is to confirm the identity and the criminal history of the arrested person. Ang single fingerprint system, the fingerprints of suspects collected one by one. Okay? Take note of the keywords one by one. This is to deduce the identity of the criminal through his latent fingerprints. Under the system, the prints of all the 10 fingers are kept one by one in custody as basic material. So basically, we are following now the Henry classification system. Also, for a review sa lahat ng mag-take ng board examination, 6 ang divisions ng fingerprint classification. Sa previous criminology licensure examination po, lumabas ang exact arrangement, ang chronological order. Okay? So sa 6 divisions, una dyan, primary, secondary, subsecondary, major, final. Yung pinaka-last is key classification. But what I want you to do, cadets, is as much as possible, internalize po ninyo, familiarize yung chronological order po sa classification formula. Okay? Or sa classification line rather. Classification line. Yung order po natin sa classification line, ganito po. Ang nag-uuna or the first one is the key classification. Pangalawa, major classification. Pangatlo, primary classification. The third one is secondary. The fifth one is subsecondary. Yung pinaka-last is final classification. Again, I am emphasizing this because this came out not just in the 2010 Criminology Licensure Examination but also in 2018 CLE. Ang chronological order. So ano ba yung chronological order? Makikita nyo sa screen. You start with the key, major, primary, secondary, subsecondary, yung pinaka-last, final. Ang tanong, does the chronological order starts with the primary? Kasi sa classification, we usually start with solving the primary. The answer is no. Because again, in the classification line, ang nag-una, the first one which can be found in the classification line is the key, followed by the major, then primary, secondary, subsecondary, and final. Now, the purpose again of this episode is to discuss, and as much as possible, cadets, I hope I can simplify and you will understand what is primary, secondary, subsecondary, up to key classification. I'm just praying, cadets, that I really hope, and I pray that in my discussion right now, I can give justice for you to easily understand or comprehend what primary classification is and what is key classification is. Now, we will start with primary classification. Now, ano pa ba ang primary classification? Ang primary classification is derived by assigning and summing up the numerical values of world patterns. Take note ha, world patterns lang of the 10 fingers expressed in a fraction added 1/1. Napaka-difficult po if we will comprehend this one in a layman points of view. But let us simplify this one. Now, the first step in primary classification is to arrange or to group the 10 fingers into numerical patterns and non-numerical patterns. Now, according to the FBI Fingerprint Manual, ang numerical patterns po are only those fingerprint patterns that are considered as world. Diba? In the previous episode, ang unang episode natin, we talk about world family. Okay? 3 lang po ang general families natin sa fingerprint. Arch, loops, and whorls. So sa whorl, may plain whorl tayo, central pocket loop whorl, may double loop whorl, may accidental whorl. 4 lang po yan. So if in case the pattern belongs to the whorl family, i-assign po natin na sa numerical patterns. Ano ba yung numerical patterns? Ang numerical patterns are those patterns with values. Anong ibig sabihin ng values? Meaning, may corresponding weight, may corresponding value, may corresponding number. Yun ang sinasabi natin numerical pattern. Lahat ng patterns that belong to the loop patterns and the arch patterns like the plain arch, tinted arch, radial loop, and ulnar loop, ang 4 po na yan belongs to non-numerical patterns. Why non-numerical? Because the value is 0. Zero po yung value. Non-numerical, zero. Ano ba yung may zero value? Take note ha. Ang may zero value, ang patterns belonging to arch family and patterns belonging to the loop family. Patterns belonging to the world family has value because they belong to numerical patterns. Now, note that fingers in odd numbers such as 1, 3, 5, 7, and 9 are assigned as denominators, while fingers in even numbers such as 2, 4, 6, and 8, and 10 are numerators. Again, sa high school natin, alright, even in elementary, we know about numerator, yung nasa upper, okay, upper line. Yung below the line, ang denominator natin. So in the fingerprint po, yung odd numbers, di ba, may 10 fingers po tayo, di ba? Yung makikita nyo sa screen, yung right hand and left hand. Yung right thumb, take note ha, right thumb is 1. That's number 1 number. Right index, that's 2. Right middle finger is 3. 4 for right ring finger. 6 for little finger of the right hand. Then, 5 rather. 5 for the little finger of the right hand. Then 6 of the left thumb. Left index is 7, left middle finger is 8, left ring finger is 9, and the little finger of the left hand is 10. Yan po ang assignment. Okay? Ang assignment of numbers. Okay? You start again with the thumb, which is 1, until you will reach 10, which is the little finger of the left hand. Sa makikita nyo sa screen. So, yung numbers na add, bali yung right thumb, yung number 3, which is the right middle finger. Number 5, which is the right little finger. Number 7, which is the left index. Number 9, which is the left ring finger. Lahat po yan, kasi odd numbers, ay considered as denominator. While the rest, the 2, 4, 6, 8, and 10 belongs to the numerator. Now, after assigning numerical orders of our 10 fingers, the next thing that we have to do is to pair. Okay? So, pares po. So, sa pair, dalawa yan. Okay? Sa makikita nyo sa screen, yung 1 and 2, yung 1 and 2, fingers 1 and 2, yung right thumb and right index, that's pair number 1. Yung 3 and 4 na fingers, pair number 2. Pair number 3, 5 and 6. Ano ba yung 5 and 6? Yung right little finger tsaka yung left thumb. Pair number 4 is fingers 8 and 7. The last pair, which is pair number 5, is 10 and 9. In 2010, during my time in the criminology licensure examination, way back April 2010, the question was, in primary classification, which of the following fingers belong to pair number 3? Oh. So in that case, may choices po yan sa CLE. So pag pair number 3, you have to take note of, you have to remember the little finger of the right hand and the left thumb. Yan po ang answer. Kasi yan ang pair number 3. Pair number 1 is yung right thumb tsaka yung right index. So this is how primary classification is being done. So we follow the step that after we know that right thumb is 1 and little finger is 10 of the left hand, we have to pair it out. We have to know the correct pairing of the fingers. So again, may 5 pairs po tayo. So meaning, take a look in pair number 1. Take a look on your screen. Yang 1 and 2, di ba? 1 and 2. Fingers number 1 and 2. That's right thumb and right index. That's pair number 1. So sa dalawa, which is 1 and 2, saan ba dyan ang denominator? So again, we go back. Odd numbers are denominator. Okay? The even numbers are numerator. So basically, between 1 and 2, saan ba ang denominator? Of course, ang thumb ng right hand. Because ang right thumb is 1. Get my point? Ang 2, which is the right index, is the numerator. Same with 3 and 4. Yung 3 is the denominator. Yung 4 is the numerator. Yung 5 is denominator. Yung 6 is a numerator. In pair number 4, yung 8, numerator yan, kasi even eh. Yung number 7, which is the left index, is denominator. Same with pair number 5. Yung 10 is the numerator, yung number 9 na finger is the denominator. That's very easy, cadets. If you just, internalize all of this, I think taking the board examination will be very easy in forensic science or in criminalistics if, again, you understand the principles behind. Now, after finding out the correct pairing of the fingers, let us take a look on the value. Diba again? We have numerical patterns, non-numerical patterns. Yung numerical patterns, those are the word patterns. Non-numerical patterns, those are loops and arches. Okay? Pero ang non-numerical, 0 po yung value. Yung numerical, may value po yan. Ang tanong, how much is the value in the numerical pattern? That's a very good question. How much? The answer is, it depends in what pair the numerical pattern appears, or in what pair the numerical pattern reflects. For example, in the first pair, if a word pattern appears in a fingerprint, okay? First pair, ano yung first pair natin? Yung right thumb and the right index. Pag may word pattern, it's either the thumb or the index. Pag word po ang nagpakita, ang value dyan is 16. Take note ha, sa second pair, pag nagpakita po yung word, ang value is 8. Ang third pair, pag nagpakita yung word, 4 ang value. Sa fourth pair, pag nagpakita ang word, 2 ang value. Sa fifth pair, pag nagpakita ang word, 1 ang value. Again, I have to repeat this again. I have to repeat this all over again. Pag ang nagpakita is a radial loop, ano ang value? Ang value is 0. Why 0? Because again, loops belong to non-numerical patterns. Okay? So again, it would depend upon which pair the word appears for us to say that that is the value. So again, first pair, 16. Second is 8. Third pair is 4. Fourth pair is 2. Fifth pair is 1. Now, to simplify everything so that the criminology students who will be taking the board exam will fully understand. I really hope, guys, that you will understand. Please. But at the comment section, you can take a look at it. You can actually write down your questions. In the comment section, you can write your questions so that, or you can even contact me through Facebook, Bimboy Cueno, so that I can give you a call if in case there are things that you do not understand. But I provided you examples for you to grasp the grasp understanding on fingerprint classification. So what you can see on your screen, ganito po. Let us just say you are done with fingerprint or taking the fingerprint of the suspect. Tapos ka na sa fingerprint taking. Now, sa nakikita mo sa fingerprints na suspect, ang thumb niya is plain whorl. Yung index is radial loop. Yung middle finger is central pocket loop whorl. Yung ring finger niya, sa right thumb ring finger niya is plain arch. Yung little finger niya is double loop whorl. Tsaka yung left hand niya, ang thumb niya is ulnar loop, index tinted arch, middle plain whorl, tsaka ring finger plain whorl, and little finger is tinted arch. Now, isolve natin kung magkano yung primary classification. Okay? Magkano? Okay? Again, yung thumb, is this denominator or numerator? Thumb, right thumb is 1, di ba? Number 1 yan, yung thumb. So, add number. So, denominator siya. Ang tanong, whorl family plain whorl ang fingerprint niya. So, ano mangyari dyan? Kasi plain whorl belongs to the numerical pattern. Ang value niya is, how much? 16. Kasi if we go back again, if the word pattern appears in the first pair, magkano yung value? 16. Ang tanong, saan ilagay yung 16? Ilagay natin sa denominator. Why? Kasi yung thumb is denominator. 1 yan eh. 1 yan sa numerical assignment. Now, yung index finger natin, which is a radial loop, again, sa assignment natin, sa numerical and non-numerical, yung radial loop is part of non-numerical. So, 0 yung value. So, saan ilagay? Sa numerator. Kasi yung index finger, ang assignment dyan is 2, second finger. So, 2 is basically an even number. So, basically, since it is an even number, it should be in the numerator. Same thing happens with 3 and 4. Yung 3 and 4 natin, yung middle finger at ring finger of the right hand. Now, take a look on central pocket loop word na nagpakita sa middle finger ng right hand ng suspect. So, ano ang value? 8. Diba? 8 yung value. Kasi if we will go back again to the previous slide, ang sabi ko, pag nagpakita yung word pattern sa second pair, magkano ba yung value? The value is 8. Okay, second pair, 8. Now, in the third pair, which is little finger and the thumb, may double loop word which appears in the right little finger and ulnar loop on the left thumb. In this case, the value is 0/4. Why 0/4? Kasi yung little finger niya, ang value niya is 4. Why 4? Because double loop word yan eh. Double loop word. Pero yung left thumb niya, 0 yan. Bakit 0? Because, again, loop pattern siya. So, saan ilagay yung 0? Ang thumb is number 6. So, saan ilagay? Ilagay dyan sa numerator. Same thing happens with index and middle finger. Ang value natin is 2/0. Ring and little finger, ang value natin is 0/1. Why 0/1? Again, ang ring finger niya is plain word. So, sa previous slide natin, pag nagpakita yung word pattern, sa fifth pair, ang value niya is 1. So, basically, 1 ang value. Saan ilagay? Numerator or denominator? Denominator. Why? Because ring finger is assigned with number 9 number. Okay, so ilagay natin sa denominator 1. Little finger of the left hand is tinted arch, so the value is 0. Now, ang pagkakaiba po natin sa calculation or summing up, addition po, sa mathematics natin, sa algebra, sa basic math, sa elementary at saka sa high school, we usually look for least common denominator. Pero hindi po natin gawin yan sa fingerprint classification. In adding the values of the primary classification, we just add directly the numerator and the denominator. But take note, people, after adding, may constant 1/1 po tayong dapat i-add. That's according to the fingerprint manual. Dapat at all times, dapat mag-add ka ng 1/1. So, let's do this. In the numerator, we will add 0 plus 0 plus 0 plus 2 plus 0. So, basically, the answer is 2. In the denominator, we will add 16 plus 8, 24, plus 4, 28, plus 1, 29. So basically, the answer is 2/29. But as I have said a while ago, may constant po yan na additional 1/1. So basically, 2/29 plus 1/1. So, magkano na yung primary classification mo? Primary classification is 3/30. Nakuha? 3/30. Kasi yung 2/29, nag-plus ka ng 1/1 kasi constant yan. At all times, dapat mag-add ka ng 1/1. Ang tanong ngayon, in the board examination, if all of the fingers contain loops or arch patterns, how much is the primary classification? I would like to repeat the question in the board exam. If all of the 10 fingers are having loops and arch patterns, how much is the primary classification? So you use your analysis. So pag arch lahat or pag loops lahat, meaning ang values niya 0 over 0. First pair 0 over 0, second pair 0 over 0, up to the last pair 0 over 0. So the answer would be 0 over 0 pero mag-add ka ng 1 over 1. So 0 over 0 plus 1 over 1 which is constant. So how much now is your primary classification? So again, if all of the patterns are loops or arches, then that means your primary classification is 1 over 1. That's the answer in the board exam. Magkano yung primary classification? 1 over 1 pag ang lahat ng patterns belongs to the loop or arch pattern. Pero, pag may word pattern na nakalagay, of course, ma-change yung resulta natin. Because there is a word. Pero again, if lahat arch lang, lahat loops, ang primary classification mo is 1 over 1. Another question. What if all of the patterns or all of the fingerprint patterns of the suspect are word patterns? Everything, starting from the first finger up to the last finger, all word patterns. So how much would be the primary classification? Lumabas po yan sa 2018 Criminology exam. So magkano yung primary classification mo? So again, analysis guys. Analysis. So magkano? Pag-calculate mo, kasi yung first pair is 16. Second pair is 18 yung numerical value niya. Third pair is 4. The fourth pair is 2. The last pair is 1. Pag i-sum up mo yan, ang answer will be 31. Di ba? 16 plus 8. That is 24. Di ba? Plus 4, 28. Plus 2, 30. Plus 1, 31. Pag lahat, word. So, 31 over 31. Pero again, may constant po tayo na plus 1 over 1. So, 31 over 31 plus 1 over 1. The answer now is 32 over 32. So again, if the question in the board examination goes this way, how much is your primary classification if all of the patterns are word patterns? So the answer should be 32 over 32. Para maintindihan sa lahat ng nagre-review ngayon na hindi pa nakaintindi or medyo confused pa sa first example, I provided second example. Last na to kasi we have to take use of the time also. I cannot extend much longer. I cannot extend much longer in my discussion to make it less boring on your part. Now, second example. Ganito po ang nangyari sa fingerprint patterns. Yung thumb, index, middle, ring, and little finger, papuntang thumb ng left hand, lahat dyan non-numerical kasi arch and loops. Ang word lang na makikita natin is only the middle finger. Of the left hand lang po, middle finger. Now, ang middle finger ng left hand, nabilong po siya sa fourth pair, di ba? Di ba? Fourth pair. Yung value sa fourth pair pag word is 2. Now, ang tanong, ang middle finger, ano yan? Denominator or numerator? So, as you can see, 8 ang naka-assign. 8. So, 8th number ang middle finger of the left hand. So, since every numbers, dilagay natin ang 2 sa numerator. Of course, yung pair niya na tinted arch na index, 7 niya, denominator is 0. The rest are radial loop, tinted arch, 0 over 0. So, ang nangyari, ang resulta dapat is 2 over 0. Pero again, we have to add constant 1 over 1. So, the answer now is, how much is the primary classification? 3 over 1. I hope you understand, guys, what is primary classification. So, again, if you have questions, you may go to the comments and type your questions there. Now, let us go now to secondary classification. Okay? Now, what is secondary classification? This is the division which occurs at the right side of the primary, consisting of capital letters that represent the type of pattern found in the index of both hands. In this classification, we concentrate mainly on the index finger. Index finger lang po. Wala nang iba. Index finger. In the primary classification, we concentrated on the first finger, which is the thumb, up to the last finger of the left hand. Pero sa secondary, we will be concentrating primarily on the index finger. Now, note that after the primary is acquired, all remaining classification shall use the impressions of the right hand as the numerator and the impression of the left hand as the denominator. Diba in the first episode that I discussed to you, there was this one Vucetich who assigned the right hand or the right fingers as the numerator and the left fingers as the denominator. If you can still remember. Okay? So, in primary classification, we assign denominator numerators based on the placement of the fingers. Denominator for the odd, numerator for the even fingers. But in secondary classification, take note, cadets. Take note ha. Sa secondary classification po, papuntang key classification. Okay? Ang right hand will be the numerator. Ang left hand will be the denominator. So if it is right index, kasi concentrate tayo first sa index finger. So if it is a right index, so the symbol of the right index should be put on the numerator. The symbol of the left index should be put in the denominator. Now, in the Henry classification system and based on the fingerprint manual of the FBI, which we also follow here in the Philippines, ganito po ang symbol, true, okay? A-T-R-U-W. A stands for the plain arch, tinted arch T, radial loop R, ulnar loop U. Whorl patterns. Whorl patterns, whether it is double loop, central pocket loop, plain whorl, accidental whorl, lahat ng whorl patterns, ang symbol niya is W. Let us have an example. If the right index finger is a tinted arch and the left index finger is a plain whorl, so what will be your secondary classification? Your secondary classification will be T over W. Why T over W? Because T signifies tinted arch. Why in the numerator? Because it is the right finger, right index. W at the denominator, while W because it is a plain whorl. Why in the denominator? Because it is a left index. That's how easy it is in finding out the secondary classification. But the complication goes here in the existence of the small letter group. Okay? Small letter group. Now, ang small letter group na came out din ito sa board examination refers only to the three. Three patterns lang po yan. Special yan eh. Special yan, tatlo na yan. Ang A, T, and R. Ano po yung A, T, R? A stands for plain arch. T stands for tinted arch. R stands for radial loop. Small letter group po ang tawag sa kanila. Yung tatlo na yan. Yung radial loop, yung tinted arch, saka yung plain arch. Symbolize ATR. A stands for plain arch, tinted arch is T, and radial loop is letter R. Pero, tinatawag siyang small letter group kasi you do not use capital letters, di ba? Kanina, if the fingers appear, if the pattern appear on the index, it should be capitalized. Di ba? Yung, if it is a tinted arch, capital T. Pero, pag ang small letter group nag-appear on the thumb, middle, ring, and little finger, ang assignment niya is small letter. For example, tinted arch on the index finger of the right hand, capital T. Pero pag ang tinted arch nag-appear sa ring or right ring finger, what will be the symbol? It's letter T again, but the T in this instance should be small letter T. Another example, plain arch appearing on the left index, that would be capital A. Okay? Capital A. Pero pag ang plain arch nag-appear sa thumb of the left finger, kasi yung thumb is in the index finger yan, if it appears on the thumb, then the assignment again is letter T. Letter A rather, letter A. But in that instance, letter A is small letter. Okay? Small letter group, the plain arch, the tented arch, and the radial loop, which if appears in any of the fingers, except sa index fingers, is assigned with small letter symbols. Another that you have to remember, cadets, a dash is used to indicate any word patterns and ulnar loop intervening between the index finger and the small letter group. The small letter group should be brought up in the classification line. So dito po tayo lahat, almost everybody has difficulty. Okay lang sana kung sa index finger lang. Pero pag may existence ng small letter group patterns, yung plain arch, tinted arch, at radial loop, dito medyo makomplicate tayo. Now again, ang dash would indicate any word patterns, yung word or ulnar loop patterns na nag-intervene, nasa gitna ng small letter group. For example, plain arch. Tapos yung pangalawa is plain word. Tapos yung pangatlo is tinted arch. So basically, the plain word is intervening between the tinted arch and the other small letter group. So lagyan po natin ng dash. Ang symbol dyan is dash. Okay? So for example again, plain arch, plain word, tinted arch. So the symbol should be A dash T. Bakit A dash T? Yung dash ay representation ng word na nag-intervene, nasa gitna. Pero kung wala sa gitna, for example, plain arch, tinted arch, tapos plain word, so di na kailangang maglagay ng dash kasi wala sa gitna yung word pattern. Alright? So, for us to easily understand, again, I put an example here. Naglagay po ako ng example, cadets, para at least everyone will be prepared, really prepared in taking the board examination. So, ang nangyari dito, pag-take niya ng fingerprint patterns sa suspect, ang makikita would be the patterns of radial loop of the thumb, ulnar, index, plain arch in the middle finger, plain word in the ring, and radial loop in the little finger of the right hand. In the left hand, we have ulnar, plain word, radial, ulnar again for the ring finger, and plain arch for the little finger. Now, question, what will be your secondary classification? Now, the first thing that you will do is classify first the index finger, the capital letter group. Ano ba yung capital letter group? Yung capital letters, yung A through. Yung plain arch, tinted arch, radial loop, ulnar loop, tsaka yung word patterns. That's the first thing that we have to do to classify the index fingers. I told you a while ago, pag ang pattern nag-appear sa index finger, ang classification niya, ang secondary classification should all be capitalized. Everything should be capitalized at all times if the pattern appears in the index finger. So, at ang una natin gawin is find out ano yung pattern sa right index tsaka yung pattern sa left index. Yung pattern sa right index is ulnar. Kaya ilagay natin dyan capital U. Kasi nasa index eh. So, capital U. Yung left index is plain word. So, ano nakalagay dyan? Plain word. So, ano ang symbol? Capital W. So, you have U over W. Pero, we can spot na mayroon po tayong patterns that belonging to the small letter group. Yung ATR, plain arch, tinted arch, saka yung radial loop. For example, yung right thumb, radial loop. So, anong ilagay natin? Small letter R. Saan ilagay? Before capital U. Kasi yung U natin dyan is an index finger. So, yung index finger, before the index is a thumb. So, radial stands for, or letter R stands for the radial loop. After the ulnar, which is capital U, nandyan uli yung small letter group na plain arch. So, ano ilagay natin? Small letter A. Now, take note. Take note ha. Between plain arch and radial loop sa right hand, di ba? Yung middle finger niya at saka yung little finger niya sa right hand. Diba? All small letter group yan. Pero pumagit na yung plain word. Yung plain word nasa ring. Ring finger of the right hand. So ano mangyari? O dito ma-apply natin yung dash. So instead of putting W, you put A dash R. Ibig sabihin dyan, plain arch, word yung nasa gitna, radial loop. So you now have the numerator R, U, A dash R. Okay? Now, let us go to the denominator, which is the left hand. Ulnar loop. Ang tanong, is ulnar loop belonging to the small letter group? The answer is no. Kasi yung ATR lang yung small letter group. So, U is not, ulnar loop is not a capital letter group. So, you do not have to put U. Why? Because it does not belong to the small letter group. Next would be, of course, do you have capital W, which is plain word of the index. Now, next to the index is the radial. Small letter again. Radial loop. Tapos, ulnar loop, saka yung plain arch. Yung plain arch, again, a small letter group. Pumagit na yung ulnar loop. Ulnar loop belonging to the capital letter group. So, anong sabi? Pag pumagit na yung ulnar loop, saka yung word family sa dalawang small letter groups, anong gagawin? Lagyan ng dash. So, anong ilagay natin? Small letter R, dash A. Bakit may dash? Kasi yung ulnar loop pumagit na between two small letter groups na radial tsaka plain arch. So, your denominator will be WR dash A. So, your secondary classification now is RU A dash R over WR dash A. Let us have another example. This is the last one. So you take the fingerprints of the suspect and this is what appears on the fingerprint card. Yung right hand niya, plain word sa thumb, plain word again sa index, ulnar sa middle, ulnar sa ring, ulnar din sa little finger. Sa left hand niya, plain word sa thumb, plain word din sa index, ulnar sa middle, ulnar sa ring, tsaka ulnar din sa little finger. So what will be your secondary classification? Again, concentrate first on the index finger. So yung index finger sa right hand is plain word. So anong symbol niya? Capital W. Numerator. Left hand. Ano ang index niya? Plain word again. So capital W. Now, second step. Tingnan natin kung may naka-reflect ba or may pattern ba belonging to the small letter group. Plain word, does it belong to the small letter group? The answer is no. Because it is not a plain arch, a tinted arch, or a radial loop. So, hindi po yan capital letter group. Ulnar ng middle, di pa din. Yung ulnar ng ring, tsaka yung ulnar ng little finger, all of these are not belonging to the small letter group. In the left hand, tingnan natin kung meron bang member sa small letter group. Plain word sa thumb, ulnar sa middle, ulnar sa ring, ulnar sa little. Wala. So basically, ang ilagay natin sa secondary classification is only W over W. Sir, bakit di tayo pwedeng maglagay ng U, small letter U? Again, ang small letter group only are those patterns that are plain arch, tinted arch, or radial loop. In this case, wala po silang tatlo, so we do not have to put anything but only the symbols in the index finger, which is W over W. So our secondary classification is no other than W over W. Now, ang pangatlong classification is known as sub-secondary classification. So we will go back again. Yung primary, yung concentration natin are the 10 fingers. Yung sa secondary, ang point of concentration natin is primarily on the index finger. Except pag may small letter group na mag-appear sa fingers except the index. Ang sa sub-secondary natin, ang point of concentration will be on the index, middle, and the ring fingers of both hands. Okay? The index, the middle, and the ring fingers of both hands. Sa previous CLA po, not in 2021 CLA, but in 2017 CLA, as far as I can remember, because I usually compile questions that came out in the board exam. Lumabas po ang inner, outer, and mid. Okay? Sa sub-secondary classification. That is why I want you to understand this. Yung sa index, middle, and ring fingers, ang gagawin po natin is to do ridge counting for loop patterns and ridge tracing for whorl patterns. Again, pag whorl patterns po, ang gagawin natin is to trace, ridge tracing. Pag loops, ano ang dapat gawin? Ridge counting. Lumabas po yan ha, lumabas din yan. Ridge counting for loops, ridge tracing ay para sa whorl. Ano ang point of concentration natin sa subsecondary? Index, middle, and the ring fingers. Now, the appearance of loops in any of the aforementioned fingers shall be given a ridge count and later be placed in the classification line by using letter symbols inner or outer. Inner or outer lang po. Inner or outer. Ang tanong, Sir, when can we say that it is inner and when can we say that it is outer? Ang sagot, it depends upon what finger that loop appears. Nagadepende po yan kung saang finger nagpakita yung loop pattern. For example, in 2010, lumabas to, yung inner at saka outer sa loops. Index finger of both hands. Index ha? Index finger. 1 to 9, ridge count niya is inner rather. 10 or more, that's outer. Middle finger, that's 1 to 10. Ridge count niya is 1. 11 or more, that's outer. Ring finger, 1 to 13. Ridge count 1. And 14 or more is outer. Now, yan po ang system natin na dapat i-memorize. I-memorize po nyo yan. I-memorize nyo yan para at least you can determine what is the sub-secondary classification. If it is a loop. Now, in the previous episode po, sa first episode ko, I talk about ridge counting and ridge tracing. Paki-check nyo na lang po sa first episode para at least mas madali yung discussion natin sa episode na to. So, for ridge tracing and ridge counting, nandyan po yan sa first episode. Now, para po maintindihan natin, let's have a short example for sub-secondary classification. So what you can see on your screen are fingerprint patterns of the index, middle, and ring fingers of both of the hands, the right and the left hand. Yung right hand natin, yung index niya is radial loop with 10 ridge count. Yung middle is ulnar loop with 10 ridge count. Tapos yung ring, radial loop with 1 ridge count. On the other hand, yung left hand natin, yung index niya, is central pocket loop whorl with 0 ridge trace below the right delta. So ridge tracing po to. Middle finger of the left hand is plain arch. Tsaka yung ring finger niya is ulnar loop with 9 ridge count. So we will start with the numerator, which is the right hand. So yung index is 10 ridge count. So based on the slide a while ago, 1 to 9 is inner for index, while 10 and above would be outer. So basically, index is O. That signifies outer. While middle and ring, again following the template on the previous slide, middle and ring would signify inner. So, your numerator now is OII over. Yung over niya, yung sa denominator, will correspond on the fingers of the left hand. Now, yung index niya is central pocket loop whorl. Now, in the previous discussion of the previous episode, pag 2 or less than 2, 1, 0, 0, 1, and 2, ang ridge count between the right delta to the ridge where you stop the tracing, such shall be called as mid. Okay? Paki-review na lang po ang sa ridge tracing at ridge counting. So basically, index of the left hand is considered as mid. On the other hand, the middle finger of the left hand is a plain arch. So basically, plain arch is an absence of a pattern. We cannot do ridge counting. Same with tinted arch. We cannot do ridge counting or ridge tracing. So we will go directly to ring finger, which is ulnar lobe, and the ridge count is 9. So 9 is inner. So your subsecondary classification now is OI over mid and inner, mid-inner. So again, for ridge tracing and ridge counting, I want you to refer on the link on the description below so that you will be directed as to how ridge counting and ridge tracing should be conducted. So, ang pang-apat po na classification belongs to major division. Now, kung ang primary considers the 10 fingers, secondary considers the index, the subsecondary considers the index, middle, and the ring. Major division will derive its interpretation or count from the thumb. Okay? The right thumb and the left thumb. Okay? What will you do with the right thumb and the left thumb? You make a ridge tracing or a ridge counting. So whatever reflects in there, if it is a loop, then you do ridge counting. If it is a whorl, you do ridge tracing. Now, the format being used is this one, as what you can see on your screen. Take note, cadets, na in the calculation of the major division, dapat what you give weight in terms of first consideration or what you consider first would be the left thumb. I repeat, ang i-consider mo is yung left thumb. Kasi there might be a variations in terms of assignment of small, medium, large in the right thumb. So the right thumb would depend upon the left thumb. That is why you have to interpret first the left thumb. For example, as you can see on your screen, if the left thumb is 1 to 11 ridge count, 1 to 11 ridge count, that is small. Then the right thumb will follow the format 1 to 11 small, 12 to 16 medium, and 17 or more large. Same format for the right thumb if the left thumb is having the ridge count which is 12 to 16. So if the left thumb has ridge count of 12 to 16, then the right thumb should follow the same format. 1 to 11 is small, 12 to 16 is medium, 17 or more is large. But you can notice that there is variation when the left thumb has the ridge count of 17 or more, which is large. Now, if the ridge count is 17 or more for the left thumb, consider po yan na large, pero ang sa right thumb, take a look at the variation. Yung 1 to 17 will have to be considered as small. See? Take a look, 1 to 17 considered as small. 18 to 22, medium, 23 or more, large. Again, take note cadets, in the interpretation of the major division, always start with the left thumb. Now, for us to understand, para maintindihan natin, tingnan nyo ang example that you can see on your screen. Yung right thumb natin is 21 ridge count. Yung left thumb natin is only 2 ridge count. As I have said a while ago, you start with the left thumb. So in this case, 2 ridge counts for the left thumb, that is small. So since this is a left thumb, you go with the denominator. So you place small as denominator, then proceed on the other side, okay, the yellow color template. Proceed on the other side. When the left thumb is 2, that is small, denominator is small, then right thumb is 21. So basically, yung 21, it belongs to 17 or more, which is large. So your major division now is large over small. Okay? Pero in example number 2, so that you will understand the principle behind bakit kailangan sa left hand ka mag-una, take a look on example number 2, cadets. Now, yung left thumb niya is 18. Yung right thumb niya is 17. Now, take a look. Major division niya is S over L, small over large. Bakit? Again, you have to start with the left thumb. Ano ang ridge count niya? 18. So 18, you go with the blue one. 17 or more. Am I correct? So when the left thumb is 17 or more, that means 17 or more, that's 18 man. 18. So 18 is large in the denominator. So you will proceed on the other side. The light blue, 1 to 17 is small, 18 to 22 is medium, 23 or more is large. So ang 17 natin sa right thumb, instead of magiging large yan, ang nakalagay dito, 1 to 17 small. 1 to 17 is small. Kaya ang ilagay mo is letter S or small. Why? Because your left thumb is large. Okay? Again, if the left thumb is large, you follow the format 1 is to 17 small, 18 to 22 medium, 23 or more large on the right thumb. So that's how major division is being computed. But if in case it is a world pattern, for example, the right thumb has the ridge count of 17. The left thumb is mid in terms of tracing. So mid is represented by letter M. So, ang 17 dyan, magiging large. So, you will say large over mid. Kasi yung sa ibaba natin, yung left thumb niya is mid pattern, which is a word, or mid ang tracing niya. In the same manner, pag ang left thumb po natin is plain arch or tinted arch, we do not have ridge count or ridge trace on tinted and plain arch. So, if right thumb is having 17 ridge count, left thumb is plain arch, then basically, your major division is only L. Wala pong denominator. Bakit walang denominator? Kasi plain arch at tinted arch cannot be traced or cannot be counted. So letter L lang. Okay? I hope you understand. Now, yung fifth classification and the sixth classification are very easy, cadets. Very easy. Why? Because in the fifth, which is final classification, all you have to do is concentrate on the right little finger. Okay? The ridge count of the right little finger is now your final classification automatically. So if the ridge count of the right little finger is 20, then in that case, your final classification is also 20. Sir, question. Lumabas po to sa board exam. What if, sir, in the final classification, yung right little finger is not a loop? That's a very legitimate question that also came out in the board. So if the right little finger is not a loop, you cannot do ridge count. So what you will do is you proceed to the left little finger. And if the left little finger is a loop, the ridge count of the left little finger will be your final classification. Again, I repeat, pag ang right little finger mo is not a loop, you proceed with the left little finger, ang ridge count sa left little finger will be your final classification. But at all times, you prioritize first the right little finger. So pag ang right little finger loop, automatically the ridge count of that will be your final classification. Yung key classification, which is the last, is also very easy. Why? Because in the key classification, remember, in the board exam, ang dapat i-keyword mo is, yung mga keywords mo dapat ganito, counting the first loop. Counting the first loop. You have 10 fingers, am I correct? 10 fingers. What you have to consider will be the thumb, index, middle, and ring. Because in the key classification, little fingers are excluded. Meaning, 8 lang po ang dapat nyo i-concentrate. Thumb, the index, middle, and the ring. So, key classification, whatever would be the first loop starting from the right thumb, that will be your key classification. So, for example, yung right thumb mo is ulnar loop with ridge count of 13. In that case, your key classification is 13. But if your right thumb is plain whorl, your index is plain arch, your middle finger is a radial loop with 20 ridge count. In that case, 20, which is the first loop, shall be your key classification. So how much? 20. The key classification, no matter where it appears, is placed as numerator at the left side of the major division. Take note also of that policy. Pero ang tanong ngayon, what if ang fingers ng isang suspect is scarred or may injury or may wound? Now, cadets, this may sound not important, but I want you to remember this. This does not come out so far in the board exam, but I just want you to familiarize yourself with this, because who knows, this may come out. In classifying scarred or injured prints, this is what we should remember. When an impression is so scarred that neither the general type of pattern nor the ridge tracing or count can be determined with reasonable accuracy, the impression should be given both the general type value and the subclassification value of the corresponding finger of the other hand. Para maintindihan natin, lagyan natin ng example. If ang right thumb is scarred or with injury, may wound po siya, and you cannot do ridge tracing or your ridge counting. You cannot even identify what pattern it is because it is scarred or it is wounded. In that cases, that is unidentifiable. Their classification of the right thumb should be adopted from the opposite thumb. So pag hindi identifiable yung right thumb, yung corresponding classification sa left thumb will take place or will be considered. So, pag ang left thumb is ulnar loop with ridge count 20, automatically, yung right thumb mo na hindi identifiable will also become a loop with a ridge count 20. Yan po ang rule natin. Pag ang thumb mo sa right is wounded, tapos yung left thumb is having a plain arch, then of course, the right thumb will be classified as plain arch. Kasi it has to adapt on the pattern of the opposite finger. Now, when an impression is so scarred that neither the general type of pattern nor the ridge tracing or count can be determined with reasonable accuracy, and it so happen that the corresponding finger of the other hand is similarly scarred, ang dalawang pattern, ang interpretation dyan is word with meeting tracing. Do not forget it. Why? Because this will come out in the board exam. Example. Yung right thumb mo is scarred or wounded. You cannot identify the ridge trace or the ridge count. You cannot identify also the pattern. But when you look at the left hand, same thing happens. It's also wounded and you cannot identify the pattern. So both the two thumbs are unidentifiable. What will be the solution? What is the rule? The two thumbs shall be considered as whorl. It does not say whether it is plain whorl or central pocket loop whorl, but it just say whorl pattern with meet or meeting tracing. That's the general rule. Next, for amputated and missing fingers, this will apply. If one finger is missing or amputated, give the missing or amputated finger the classification of the opposite finger. Same lang Japon. Same ang policy natin. So if the right thumb is amputated, but the left thumb is not amputated, in that case, the pattern of the left thumb will be adopted by the right thumb which is amputated. So if the left thumb is plain whorl, then the right thumb which is amputated shall also be considered as plain whorl. If both of the thumbs are amputated, the left thumb and the right thumb are amputated, again, same thing happens. They will be considered as whorl with meet tracing. Okay? Whorl with meet tracing. Next, second to the last. If all fingers are missing at birth or amputated, lahat ng fingers, from the thumb to the little finger of both hands, amputated. Take note ha, lumabas po ito sa 2021 examination. Ang classification niya ay meet over meet, 32 over 32, whorl over whorl, meet meat over meat, meat, meat. You can see that on your screen. Memorize that because that will come out in the board examination. If the hands are amputated and the fingers are missing at birth, a solution according to the fingerprint manual of the FBI, you take the footprints. Okay? You take the footprints in lieu of the fingers. Okay? In lieu of the fingers because it is missing. Cadets, I hope I was able to amplify your knowledge in fingerprint identification. I just hope and I pray that you learned something. I mean, I am doing this not to boast views or likes, but I am doing this to somehow help you in your venture in the criminology licensure examination. Everything is owned by God. So whenever you will study, please, before you read a particular article or a particular review material, please pray because everything comes from God. Knowledge comes from God, wisdom comes from God, and without God, we are nothing. I hope you will enjoy your review or your learning, and God bless and stay safe.